today, guys? It's Jesse with the Common Nerd, bringing you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And welcome to Sunday Funday, boys and girls. Well, all version of it around here. Anywhere where we get together and talk about, well, the pop culture and the Bible, mostly the Bible. This is mostly primarily a Bible study, if I'm going to be completely and totally honest with everybody about it. This is, I don't know, I intended it to be something else, I guess, in the beginning. I thought it was going to be something else. I didn't know what this was going to be. I just know I got a mission. I got something that I was told to do, that was put on my heart to do by, I believe, the man upstairs. And you know what? I've learned it's generally better to listen to what he says and do what he says, because generally when I don't, things generally don't turn out very well for me. So after a lot of prodding and a constant nonstop voice that would not go away in my head, we started out doing Romans 1 over here on this lovely little Bible study over here on these Sundays. And we started doing that. That was well over a year ago. It's been quite a while now, almost 2 years. Well, about a year and a half now, I guess, that we've been doing this. And yeah, we're going to keep on doing it for every Sunday. So we started out, after we got through some of the New Testament stuff, after we got through Romans 1 and a few other those kind of things that we were supposed to do, we went back to Exodus, and we've been kind of working our way forward through the Bible ever since. We're currently in 2 Samuel, going through a lot of the story of David and all of the great achievements that he had and some of the issues he had as well going through. So that's been a fun time to do so far. Rather enjoying that. I think everybody has been so far. So that's always a really good time. Absolutely enjoying that quite a lot. So we've been having a little fun here. So as usual, we are live on Facebook over on the Common Nerd Gaming channel, as well as the Common Nerds channel, which is now monetized over there, as well as Twitch, X, formerly known as the social media platform known as Twitter, of course, our home base of Rumble, which we absolutely love and adore, and Kick, because we finally got all of that stuff straightened out so as well. So if this is your first time here, I do apologize. My brain might be a little fried today. It's kind of hot out here, a little hotter than normal, and need to get me another fan for out here, but we're getting ready to move anyway, hopefully, or well, we have to move either way, no matter what, but hopefully we'll be able to find somewhere with a little cooler space for me to do all of this in. Lord willing, the Lord always provides. So yeah, so I'm a little out of it right now. It's a little hot out here. But other than that, we're doing good. Had a good time at church today. We had a little bit, I do apologize for being late. We had a little luncheon after church today that one of the guys, it was specifically for like some of the younger couples and stuff like that in the church. God, that's funny to think that I'm one of the younger couples in the church. Well, we got kids, right? That's always kind of thing. And so we've got kids and stuff like that. So they were kind of trying to start some fellowship amongst all of us and kind of get that kind of going. And so we had a little bit of a luncheon today. And so that was a good time. We got to enjoy all that, got to hang out with some other people and folks and chit chat about things. And hopefully that's something we'll be doing on a more regular basis as well. But yeah, that did make, we get to get out of church a little bit late because of that. Got all that started a little bit late. And then we had to still go get chicken scratch. And then we also ended up dropping off 2 of the other children with grandma. Didn't know we were going to do that either. So yeah, so I apologize for being later than I would have intended, but it was all for a good cause. And the chickens now have some scratch, which is going to make them very, very, very happy. So as usual, we're going to go through. I'm going to say hi to all of you wonderful and fine and beautiful folks out there in the chat. We're going to get to all of that. And then I'll remind everybody, as per usual, this is not a sermon, right? This is not a, I am not a pastor. I am not a priest. I've never been to any kind of seminary school in any way whatsoever. I don't even have one of them sending little ordination things you can get online. I am just a baby Christian that the Lord put it on my heart to do a Bible study on my pop culture channel. And I started doing it because that's what you're supposed to do when the old man tells you to do things. So that's what we're doing out here. And that's what we're going to keep on doing for as long as I can keep on sitting and coming out here and sitting in this chair and making my voice heard and doing all of that kind of stuff. We'll keep on plugging along doing this every Sundays. And yeah, that's what we do. So we just go through, we read straight through the book. And so the goal around here is to try to get through the book as much as possible, not have this turn into like some giant wild discussion between people and arguing and nothing like that. No, the goal is to read through the word and get through the Lord's good word and try to see if we can glean a little knowledge, glean a little information and all of that kind of fun stuff out of this. So if this is for some reason your very first time here, or for some reason you're watching this on the replay, because this is the one stream that will stay live on absolutely every single platform. Wherever it is live streamed, it will stay live there. I will not unlist these Bible studies in any way, shape, or form. But if this is your first time here and you haven't been here before, we do this a little bit of different. There's not as much interaction. There's not as much back and forth when we do these streams. I'm just kind of read straight through, and then about the last 15 minutes or so, we'll go through all your comments, questions, concerns that are down there in the chat, and we'll go through and we'll read off all of those, because I'm sure you're not the only one that has those, and we'll have some people that are out there lurking and listening that won't be get a chance to read the chat. So it's always another good idea for me to read the chat off as well, because I imagine if you have a question like that, I'd imagine a lot of other people have that exact same question. So it's always a good thing to answer it. Also, there's a lot of very much smarter people out there in the chat that are much more knowledgeable about the good book and all of its wonderful words of wisdom in there and all of its knowledge and truth. And they will probably end up answering your question before I will get to it. But at the exact same time, once again, I will be reading that off anyway. Why? Because there are people out there lurking and listening, and there might be some people out there watching on the replay, and they might not catch the chat while we're going through all of this. So don't think I'm ignoring you. Don't think that we're going to miss you. If there's somebody new that comes in the chat while I'm going through and reading through all of our stuff, you guys make sure you welcome them. Make sure you let them know what I'm doing and kind of what an idea, in case maybe this is their first Sunday here. I don't want them to not feel welcome or feel like I'm ignoring them. Just let them know what the skinny is over here on Sundays and how we operate on things. And I would be greatly, greatly appreciated for all of that as well. So, like I said, we've got the book of Samuel to go through. I'm just popping out all of the chats. The chats that don't show up on StreamYards just yet are Kick. And we always pull the Rumble out just in case we get any donations, because StreamYards doesn't have that stuff set up either for all of that kind of stuff. And speaking of donations, all that kind of stuff, we are still trying to raise money to move boys and girls. So direct donations are the best way to help out with that. The bots will be dropping that stuff throughout the chat. So thank you guys so very much for all of that. And if you're over on, of course, if you're over on the YouTube side of things, we do appreciate you over there as well. And you might be catching this on the replay. So hi. All right, boys and girls. Oh, I apologize. I apologize. You're a little yawny today. That's this heat. It's probably this heat is what it comes down to. It's probably what it is. Whoa. Oh, yes. Where were we at? Yeah, okay. Yeah, this is right before the exhale. Yeah, so yeah, okay. Yep, this is right where we need to be. I was just looking at it, making sure where we were. But let's go ahead and say hi to all of you beautiful, fine folks out there in the chat, and then we will do a little prayer, and then we will jump right into the Lord's good word today, boys and girls. So let's go ahead and say hi to all of you. Appreciate all of you guys being so patient with me today. Griffin over on the YouTube side, jumping right in before everything even started, saying greetings and salutations. And over on Rumble as well, says, jokes aside, I am so glad to be here with all of you. This really is one of the highlights of my week. Glad to see it. Oh, excuse me. Appreciate that. Jimbo, there he is. Good to see you, brother. One of our very fine channel subscribers. Oh, and since we're here, why not? And it's a Bible study. You know what? No. We're going to save that for the Doctor Who stream. But Jim Bone is one of our fine channel supporters around here. And we'll get to that on the Doctor Who stream tonight. So I appreciate all of you. Oh, yes. Yeah, congratulations on that. Jim Bone's wife finally got a job. That's freaking awesome. Got her new job. So that is awesome. Glad to hear that. So glad to hear that. See, Lord always provides. JR24 says, bonjour, fellow believers. Bonjour, JR24. Animation Overload says, hi, all. Good to see you, Animation. Glad you made it in today. Bubba, motherfucker Ford. What's up, Bubba? Glad you made it in as well. And there's Jim Bone over on the Twitch side of things as well. Tim Hayes, our very first channel member over on the YouTube and over on the Rumble as well. Appreciate that, my friend. Spaceship Vampire says, hail all. And Jesse, good to see you, Spaceship Vampire. Glad you made it in today as well. Always good to see you. And they're over on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter. Good to see you. There you go. He's all over the place. He's everywhere. Jim Bone is everywhere. Scratch, yes, chicken scratch. It's like a mix of grain and some corn and a couple of other things, and you just throw it out on the ground, and the chickens get to peck at it, and they scratch the ground to get at it, and they peck it off the ground. That's literally what it's called, scratch. It's just good for them. It's good little attention stuff for them, good little extra nutrients, all that good stuff. And there's your average Patriot Nerd over on the YouTube as well. Speaking of those people that are out there lurking, listening, and all of that kind of stuff as well. He's out there probably driving away today. We do appreciate your average Patriot Nerd. He's one of our fine truck drivers out there, keeping our supply lines running. We could not do it without him. Appreciate that. Him and all the rest of his friends and brothers and sisters out there on the roads. So there you go. Yes, I'm a split personality today. Oh, one of me is here on Rumble, the other me is on YouTube. Frankly, why not? Why not indeed? There you go. Yeah, this coming story is horrible. Yeah, all I got to do is look at the headline and I'm like, this is going to suck. This is going to suck. Are you trying to say I get around at Jim Bone? I have no idea what you're talking about. You dirty slut, you dirty slut. And there's your Streamlabs right there. Direct donations. There we go. I need to get that bot set up over on the Common Nerds channel as well. So that thing will be running around over there. So there we go. But all right, boys and girls, let's get all of this started. So let's go ahead and get the Bible study pulled up. We'll get you all squeezed in over here. Oh, I had to apologize. My wife was like, why are you yawning? I'm like, I'm tired. She's like, I'm tired too. You don't see me yawning. I'm like, I can't control my yawns, woman. Crazy woman. I love her, but she's crazy. Yeah. The next few chapters are really bad. This needs an advisory warning. Yep. Well, like we always say, the Bible ain't PG. Ain't your children's fairy tales, boys and girls. It ain't your children's fairy tale. And I got this funny feeling this section right here is going to remind everybody of that. Because I mean, just look at the description of the chapter. Like, holy cow, this ain't all roses and daisies, boys and girls. Anybody that says the Bible's just a bunch of happy fairy tales clearly ain't never read the damn book. Because shit's about to go sideways here, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, real quick. Mm. Yeah, it says it's like over 90 degrees outside. It feels like it's 100 and something. I don't know. I just need an extra fan out here. Maybe I need to make sure my fan's turned up all the way too. I'm not sure if it is or not. But it's hot out here. It's hot. I'm gonna go check that fan real quick because it's gonna distract me otherwise. And then we'll do our prayer, and then we're gonna jump right into some very dark times in the Bible. Like it's not already dark enough in here. It's about to get a whole lot darker. It's about to get a whole lot darker. Oh. There we go. And no, fan wasn't on max. That was part of the problem. That was definitely part of the problem. Oh, it gets better. Amon and Tamar are brother. But half brother, half sister. But still, oh boy, that should be fun. Yeah, we'll be about 95 here today. But yeah, you guys got that dry heat though, Jimbo. You guys got that dry heat out there. It's a dry heat. That's what they say. I don't know what difference that's supposed to make. I sweat just as much as in Vegas as I did here. So, all right, boys and girls, we're going to get into 2 Samuel 13 today. 2 Samuel 13. I wish I was able to tilt that down just a little bit far. Move some of this stuff out of the way over here. So, there we go. Maybe that'll help a little bit. There we go. All right. So as per usual, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a little moment here. We're going to have a quick prayer. The idea behind this is to ask for guidance. Because the reason why we're going over this is we live in an era now of unprecedented time. There is no more, did God really say that nonsense going on? There's no single one of us out there who doesn't have a smartphone. Even the homeless among us have smartphones. And the Bible app is free. So there's nothing stopping you from downloading it and reading it yourself with any translation you prefer out there, going through all of it. And yeah, there is not going to be any more of that. We live in a time, unprecedented time of knowledge and everything else. So boys and girls, that's what we're going to do. We're going to read quite literally straight from the horse's mouth. And there will be no, did God really say that? Because we're reading it straight out of the book. And that's what we're going to do. There is no interpretation. This isn't me coming out there and trying to interpret anything to you. This is me telling you guys and reading it directly off the book. So the idea behind this, of course, is guidance, wisdom, all of those kind of things. So that's what we're going to do. If you'd like to, join me in prayer. If not, we'll get started here in just a moment, boys and girls, in just a moment. Lord, we come before you humbly asking that you be with us here today while we go through your good word, while we read these stories and try to learn the lessons that we need to learn from our own history. Let us see these tragic events and let's go through them. Let's learn from them, Lord. Let us take and glean the wisdom from these words that you have made sure that our ancestors have put down in perpetuity, so that way these stories and this wisdom would never be lost. So that way your miracles and your glory and the things you have done will shine throughout all of eternity. Lord, as we go through your good word today, be with us as we go through all of our trials and tribulations. Be with us as we go through the things that we suffer, and remind us when we rejoice in things of joy that from you all things flow. From you all grace, kindness, joy, happiness, peace, and all of the miracles you bless us with on a daily basis all flow from you, Lord. So let us not only seek you in our times of distress, but also rejoice and praise your name when things go well. So thank you, Lord, for all of that, the good, the bad, the in-between, and all the lessons that it teaches us. So be with us here, Lord, today while we go through your good word. Let us learn from it what you wish us to learn. Let us understand from it that which you wish us to understand. May your word be embedded on our hearts, our souls, and our mind. Let it be at the tip of our tongue every day. And let us listen more to that little voice you put inside of us, that I do believe is our direct connection to you, that tells us to do things when we're supposed to do them. Let us all listen to that voice a little bit more, and hopefully grow closer not only to you, your Son, Jesus Christ, but let us walk in the way that pleases you the most, Lord. So be with us here today while we go through your good word, and let us learn from it, and let us grow from it. As God has declared, so say we all. In Jesus Christ's name, we pray. Amen. All righty, boys and girls. Let's get started. Oh, it's hot. It is hot out here. And my butt fan broke. My butt fan doesn't work anymore, unfortunately. So it finally got ran over one too many times by my wheels, so my butt fan doesn't work. Mm-hmm. Ooh, boy. All right. Let's get into some heavy stuff, boys and girls. Let's get into some heavy stuff. Maybe I should have ate those gummies before this stream started. But we'll save them for tonight. All right. 2 Samuel 13. Now David's son Absalom had a beautiful sister named Tamar. In the course of time, David's son Amnon fell madly in love with her. But Amnon became frustrated because he was so lovesick over his sister Tamar. Half-sister and brother, mind you, but still weird. For she was a virgin, and to Amnon it seemed out of the question to do anything to her. Now Amnon had a friend named Jonadab, the son of David's brother Shema. Jonadab was a very crafty man. He asked Amnon, "Why are you, the king's son, so depressed every morning? Can't you tell me?" So Amnon said to him, "I am in love with Tamar, the sister of my brother Absalom." And Jonadab replied to him, "Lie down on your bed and pretend to be sick. When your father comes in to see you, say to him, 'Please let my sister Tamar come in so she can fix me some food for me. Let her prepare the food in my sight so I can watch. Then I will eat from her hand.'" So Amnon lay down and pretended to be sick. Boy, doesn't this sound like every kid at home. When the king came in to see him, Amnon said to the king, "Please let my sister Tamar come in so she can make a couple of cakes in my sight. Then I will eat from her hand." So David sent Tamar to the house, saying, "Please go to the house of Amnon, your brother, and prepare some food for him." So Tamar went to the house of Amnon, her brother, who was lying down. She took the dough, kneaded it, made some cakes while he watched, and baked them. But when she took the pan and set it before him, he refused to eat. Instead, Amnon said, "Get everyone out of here." So everyone left. Then Amnon said to Tamar, "Bring the cakes into the bedroom, and then I will eat from your hand." So Tamar took the cakes that she had prepared and brought them to her brother Amnon in the bedroom. As she brought them to him to eat, he grabbed her and said to her, "Come on, get in bed with me, my sister." But she said to him, "No, my brother, don't humiliate me. This just isn't done in Israel. Don't do this foolish thing. How could I ever be rid of my humiliation? And you would be considered one of the fools in Israel. Just speak to the king, for he will not withhold me from you." But he refused to listen to her. He overpowered her and humiliated her by raping her. Then Amnon greatly despised her. his disdain toward her surpassed the love he had previously felt toward her. Ammon said to her, "Get up and leave." Sounds like more like he was angry at himself. But she said to him, "No, I won't. For sending me away now would be worse than what you did to me earlier." But he refused to listen to her. He called his personal attendant and said to him, "Take this woman out of my sight and lock the door behind her." Now she was wearing a long robe, for this is what the king's virgins' daughters used to wear. So Ammon's attendant removed her and bolted the door behind her. Then Tamar put ashes on her head and tore the long robe she was wearing. She put her hands on her head and went on her way, wailing as she went. Her brother Absalom said to her, "Was Ammon your brother with you? Now be quiet, my sister. He is your brother. Don't take it so seriously." Tamar, devastated, lived in the house of her brother Absalom. Now King David heard about all of these things and was very angry. But Absalom said nothing to Amnon, either bad or good. Yet Absalom hated Ammon because he had humiliated his sister Tamar. 2 years later, Absalom's sheep wearers were in Baal Hazar near Ephraim. Absalom invited all the king's sons. Then Absalom went to the king and said, "My shearers have begun their work. Let the king and his servants go with me." But the king said to Absalom, "No, my son, we shouldn't all go. We shouldn't burden you in that way." Though Absalom presented him, the king was not willing to go. Instead, David blessed him. Then Absalom said, "If you will not go, then let my brother Ammon go with us." The king replied to him, "Why should he go with you?" But when Absalom pressed him, he sent Ammon and all the king's sons along with him. Absalom instructed his servants, "Look, when Ammon is drunk, and I say to you, strike Ammon down, kill him then and there. Don't fear. Is it not I who have given you these instructions? Be strong and courageous." So Absalom's servants did to Ammon exactly what Absalom had instructed. Then all the king's sons got up. Each one rode away on his mule and fled. While they were still on their way, the following report reached David. "Absalom has killed all the king's sons. Not one of them is left." Then the king stood up and tore his garments and lay down on the ground. All his servants were standing there with torn garments as well. Jonadab, the son of David's brother Shema, said, "My lord should not say, 'They have killed all the young men who are the king's sons,' for only Ammon is dead. This is what Absalom has talked about from the day that Ammon humiliated his sister Tamar. Now don't let my lord the king be concerned about the report that has come in saying, 'All the king's sons are dead.' It is only Ammon who is dead." In the meantime, Absalom fled. When the servant who was the watchman looked up, he saw many people coming from the west on the road beside the hill. Jonadab said to the king, "Look, the king's sons have come. It's just as I said." Just as he finished speaking, the king's sons arrived, wailing and weeping. The king and all his servants wept loudly as well. But Absalom fled and went to King Talmai, son of Emir of Geshur, and David grieved loudly over his son every day. After Absalom fled and went to Geshur, he remained there for 3 years. The king longed to go to Absalom, for he had since been consoled over the death of Ammon. Rough. And it's the worst part. It's like he even said, he's like, go to the king and ask for me. It's not like he'll tell you no, but doing this thing, this violent, this forcible act, doing this against the laws, like, nah, bruh. I just, disturbing. The Bible is not PG, boys and girls. The Bible is not PG at all. 2 Samuel 14. Now Joab, son of Zerah, realized that the king longed to see Absalom. So Joab sent to Tekoa and brought from there a wise woman. He told her, "Pretend to be in mourning and put on a garment for mourning. Don't anoint yourself with oil. Instead, act like a woman who has been mourning for the dead for some time. Go to the king and speak to him in the following fashion." Then Joab told her what to say. So the Tekoan woman went to the king. She bowed down with her face to the ground in deference to him and said, "Please help me, O king." The king replied, "What do you want?" She answered, "I am a widow. My husband is dead. Your servant has 2 sons. When the 2 of them got into a fight in the field, there was no one present who could intervene. One of them struck the other and killed him. Now the entire family has risen up against your servant, saying, 'Turn over the one who struck down his brother, so that we can execute him and avenge the death of his brother whom he killed. In so doing, we also destroy their heir. They want to extinguish my remaining coal, leaving no one on the face of the earth to carry on the name of my husband.' Then the king told the woman, 'Go to your home. I will give instructions concerning your situation.' The Tekoa woman said to the king, 'My lord the king, let any blame fall on me and on the house of my father, but let the king and his throne be innocent.' The king said, "Bring to me whoever speaks to you, and he won't bother you again." She replied, In that case, let the king invoke the name of the Lord, your God, so that the avenger of blood may not kill. Then they will not destroy my son." He replied, "As surely as the Lord lives, not a single hair of your son's head will fall to the ground." Sorry. Warm out here. Then the woman said, "Please permit your servant to speak to my lord, the king, about another matter." He replied, "Tell me." The woman said, "Why have you devised something like this against God's people? When the king speaks in this fashion, he makes himself guilty, for the king has not brought back the one he has banished. Certainly we must die, and are like water spilled on the ground that cannot be gathered up again. But God does not take away life. Instead, he devises ways for the banished to be restored. I have now come to speak with my lord the king about this matter, because the people have made me fearful. But your servant said, I will speak to the king. Perhaps the king will do what his female servant asks. Yes, the king may listen and deliver his female servant from the hand of the man who seeks to remove both me and my son from the inheritance God has given us." So your servant said, "May the word of my lord the king be my security. For my lord the king is like the angel of God when it comes to deciding between right and wrong. May the Lord your God be with you." Then the king replied to the woman, "Don't hide any information from me when I question you." The woman said, "Let my lord the king speak." The king said, "Did Joab put you up to all of this?" The woman answered, "As surely as you live, my lord the king, there is no deviation to the right or to the left from all that my lord the king has said. For your servant Joab gave me instructions. He has put all these words in your servant's mouth. Your servant Joab did this so as to change this situation. But my lord has wisdom like that of the angel of God and knows everything that is happening in the land." Then the king said to Joab, "All right, I will do this thing. Go and bring back the young man Absalom." Then Joab bowed down with his face toward the ground and thanked the king. Joab said, "Today your servant knows that I have found favor in your sight, my lord the king, because the king has granted the request of your servant." So Joab got up and went to Geshur and brought Absalom back to Jerusalem. But the king said, "Let him go over to his own house. He may not see my face." Excuse me. So Absalom went over to his own house. He did not see the king's face. Now in Israel, everyone acknowledged that there was no man as handsome as Absalom. From the sole of his feet to the top of his head, he was perfect in appearance. When he would shave his head at the end of every year, he used to shave his head, for it grew too long, and he would shave it. He used to weigh the hair of his head at 3 pounds, according to the king's weight. Absalom had 3 sons and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar. She was a very attractive woman. Absalom lived in Jerusalem for 2 years without seeing the king's face. Then Absalom sent a message to Joab, asking him to send him to the king, but Joab was not willing to come to him. So he sent a second message to him, but he still was not willing to come. So he said to his servant, "Look, Joab has a portion of the field adjacent to mine, and he has some barley there. Go and set it on fire." This just doesn't seem like it's going to end well. This just doesn't seem like it's going to end. This boy has no sense. This boy has no sense at all. None whatsoever. Obviously, they're going to have a discussion right now. I guess that's one way to do it. Force his hand. But it's just like, really? So Absalom's servant set Joab's portion of the field on fire. Then Joab got up and came to Absalom's house. He said to him, "Why did your servant set my portion of the field on fire?" Absalom said to Joab, "Look, I sent a message to you saying, 'Come here so that I can send you to the king with this message.' Why have I come from Geshur? It would be better for me if I were still there. Let me now see the face of the king. If I am at fault, let him put me to death." I guess it worked. So Joab went to the king and informed him. The king summoned Absalom, and he came to the king. And Absalom bowed down before the king with his face towards the ground, and the king kissed him. Aww. Samuel 15. It never takes long. It never takes long. Oh.
Hey, listen!
Sometime later, Absalom managed to acquire a chariot and horses, as well as 50 men to serve as royal guard. Now, Absalom used to get up early and stand beside the road that led to the city gate. Whenever anyone came by who had a complaint to bring to the king for arbitration, Absalom would call out to him, "What city are you from?" The person would answer, "I, your servant, and from one of the tribes of Israel." Absalom would then say to them, "Look, your claims are legitimate and appropriate. but there is no representation of the king who will listen to you. Absalom would then say, if only they would make me a judge in the land, then everyone who had a judicial complaint could come to me, and I would make sure he receives a just settlement. Wow. Just wow. Like, yeah, talk about the cojones on this guy. Like, literally, right at the king's gate, just shouting this stuff out in front of God and everybody. Like, just, no, bad. All of this is bad. When someone approached to bow before him, Absalom would extend his hand and embrace him and kiss him. Absalom acted this way towards everyone in Israel who came to the king for justice. In this way, Absalom won the loyalty of the citizens of Israel. After 4 years, Absalom said to the king, let me go and repay my vow that I made to the Lord while I was in Hebron. For I made this vow when I was living in Geshur and Aram. If the Lord really does allow me to return to Jerusalem, I will serve the Lord. The king replied to him, go in peace. So Absalom got up and went to Hebron. Then Absalom sent spies for all the tribes of Israel who said, when you hear the sound of the horn, you may assume that Absalom rules in Hebron. Now 200 men had gone with Absalom from Jerusalem. Since they were invited, they went naively and were unaware of what Absalom was planning. While he was offering sacrifices, Absalom sent for Athol the Gilonite, David's advisor, to come from his city Giloth. The conspiracy was gaining momentum, and the people were starting to side with Absalom. Ooh, dun dun dun. Then a messenger came to David and reported, the men of Israel are loyal to Absalom. So David said to all his servants who were with him in Jerusalem, come on, let's escape. Otherwise, no one will be delivered from Absalom. Go immediately, or else he will quickly overtake us and bring disaster on us and kill the city's residents with the sword. The king's servants replied to the king, we will do whatever our lord the king decides. So the king and all the members of his royal court set out on foot, though the king left behind 10 concubines to attend to the palace. The king and all the people set out on foot, pausing at a spot some distance away. All his servants were leaving with him, along with the Kirtherites, all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, some 600 men who had come on foot from Gath. They were leaving with the king. Then the king said to Ittai the Gittite, why should you come with us? Go back and stay with the new king, for you are a foreigner and an exile from your own country. It seems like you arrived just yesterday. Today, should I make you wander around by going with us? I go where I must go. But as for you, go back and take your men with you. May genuine, loyal love protect you. But Ittai replied to the king, as surely as the Lord lives, and as my lord the king lives, wherever my lord the king is, whether dead or alive, there I will be as well. So David said to Ittai, come along then. So Ittai the Gittite went along, accompanied by all his men and all the dependents who were with him. All the land was weeping loudly as all these people were leaving. As the king was crossing over the Kidron Valley, all the people were leaving on the road that leads to the desert. Zadok and all the Levites who were with him were carrying the ark of the covenant of God. When they positioned the ark of God, Abiathar offered sacrifices until all the people had finished leaving the city. Then the king said to Zadok, take the ark of the God back to the city. If I find favor in the Lord's sight, he will bring me back and enable me to see both it and his dwelling place again. However, if he should say, I do not take pleasure in you, then he will deal with me in a way that he considers appropriate. The king said to Zadok the priest, are you a seer? Go back to the city in peace. Your son Amiz and Abiathar's son Jonathan may go with you, and Abiathar. Look, I will be waiting at the fords of the desert until word from you reaches me. So Zadok and Abiathar took the ark of God back to Jerusalem and remained there. As David was going up the Mount of Olives, he was weeping as he went. His head was covered and his feet were bare. All the people who were with him also had their heads covered and were weeping as they went up. Now David had been told, Ahithophel has sided with the conspirators who are with Absalom. So David prayed, make the advice of Ahithophel foolish, O Lord. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. When David reached the summit where he used to worship God, Hushi the Archite met him. The Archite met him with his clothes torn and dirt on his head. David said to him, if you leave with me, you will be a burden to me, but you will be able to counter the advice of Ahithophel if you go back to the city and say to Absalom, I will be your servant, O king. Previously, I was your father's servant, and now I will be your servant. Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, will be there with you. Everything you hear in the king's palace, you must tell Zadok and Abiathar, the priests. Furthermore, their 2 sons are there with them, Zadok's son, Amazar, and Abiathar's son, Jonathan. You must send them to me with any information you hear. So David's friend Hushai arrived in the city, just as Absalom was entering Jerusalem. Oh, dun, dun, dun. Whew. Where are we at? Okay, we still got a little ways to go. Okay. Oops, sorry. Oh. All right. All right, 2 Samuel 16. When David had gone a short way beyond the summit, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, was there to meet him. He had a couple of donkeys that were saddled, and on them were 200 loaves of bread, 100 raisin cakes, 100 baskets of summer fruit, and a container of wine. The king asked Ziba, "Why did you bring these things?" Ziba replied, "The donkeys are for the king's family to ride on. The loaves of bread and the summer fruit are for the attendants to eat, and the wine is for those who get exhausted in the desert." The king asked, "Where is your master's grandson?" Ziba replied to the king, "He remains in Jerusalem, for he said, 'Today the house of Israel will give back to me my grandfather's kingdom.'" The king said to Ziba, "Everything that was Mephibosheth's now belongs to you." Ziba replied, "I bow before you. May I find favor in your sight, my lord the king." Then King David reached Bahurim. There a man from Saul's extended family named Shimei, son of Gera, came out, yelling curses as he approached. He threw stones at David and all of King David's servants, as well as all the people and the soldiers who were on his right and on his left. As he yelled curses, Shimei said, "Leave, leave, you man of bloodshed, you wicked man. The Lord has punished you for all the blood you spilled, all the spilled blood of the house of Saul, in whose place you rule. Now the Lord has given the kingdom into the hand of your son Absalom. Disaster has overtaken you, for you are a man of bloodshed." Then Abishai, son of Zeruiah, said to the king, "Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over and cut off his head." But the king said, "What do we have in common, you sons of Zeruiah? If he curses the Lord, if he curses because the Lord has said to him, 'Curse David,' who can say to him, 'Why have you done this?'" Then David said to Abishai and to all his servants, "My own son, my very own flesh and blood, is trying to take my life. So also now, this Benjamite, leave him alone so that he can curse, for the Lord has spoken to him. Perhaps the Lord will notice my affliction, and this day grant me good in the place of his curse." So David and his men went on their way, but Shimei kept going along the side of the hill opposite of them, yelling curses as he threw stones and dirt at them. The king and all the people who were with him arrived exhausted at their destination, where David refreshed himself. Hand is itchy, 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 itchy. Now when Absalom and all the men of Israel arrived in Jerusalem, Athaliah was with him. When David's friend Hushai the Archite came to Absalom, Hushai said to him, "Long live the king! Long live the king!" Absalom said to Hushai, "Do you call this loyalty to your friend? Why didn't you go with your friend?" Hushai replied to Absalom, "No, I will be loyal to the one whom the Lord, these people, and all the men of Israel have chosen. Moreover, whom should I serve? Should it not be his son? Just as I served your father, so will I serve you." Then Absalom said to Athaliah, "Give us your advice. What should we do?" Athaliah replied to Absalom, "Have sex with your father's concubines, whom he left to care for the palace. All Israel will hear that you have made yourself repulsive to your father. Then your followers will be motivated to support you." So they pitched a tent for Absalom on the roof, and Absalom had sex with his father's concubines in the sight of all of Israel. In those days, Absalom's advice was considered as valuable as prophetic revelation. Both David and Absalom highly regarded the advice of Athaliah. 2 Samuel 17. Athaliah said to Absalom, "Let me pick out 12,000 men. Then I will go and pursue David to this very night. When I catch up with him, he will be exhausted and worn out. I will rout him, and the entire army that is with him will flee. I will kill only the king and will bring the entire army back to you. In exchange for the life of the man you are seeking, you will get back everyone. The entire army will return unharmed." This seemed like a good idea to Absalom and to all the leaders of Israel. But Absalom said, Call for Hushai the Archite, and let's hear what he has to say." So Hushai came to Absalom. Absalom said to him, "Here is what Athaliah has advised. Should we follow his advice? If not, what would you recommend?" Hushai replied to Absalom, "Athalah's advice is not sound this time." Hushai went on to say, "You know your father and his men. They are soldiers and are as dangerous as a bear out in the wild that has been robbed of her cubs. Your father is an experienced soldier. He will not stay overnight with the army. At this very moment, he is hiding out in one of the caves or in some other similar place. If it should turn out that he attacks our troops first, whoever hears about it will say, 'Absalom's army has been slaughtered.' If that happens, even the bravest soldier, one who is lion-hearted, will virtually melt away. For all Israel knows that your father is a warrior and that those who are with him are brave. My advice, therefore, is this. Let all of Israel from Dan to Beer-sheba in number like the sand by the sea be mustered to you, and you lead them personally into battle. We will come against him whenever he happens to be found. We will descend on him like the dew falls on the ground. Neither he nor any of the men who are with him will be spared alive, not one of them. If he regroups in a city, all of Israel will take up ropes to that city and drag it down to the valley so that not a single pebble will be left there. Then Absalom and all the men of Israel said to the advice of Hushai the Archite, it sounds better than the advice of Helpham. Now the Lord has decided to frustrate the sound advice of Athbal so that the Lord would bring disaster on Absalom. Then Hushai reported to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, here's what Athbal has advised to Absalom and the leaders of Israel to do, and here's what I have advised. Now send word quickly to David and warn him, don't spend the night at the fords of the desert tonight. Instead, be sure you cross over, or else the king and everyone who is with him may be overwhelmed. Uh-oh. Now Jonathan and Amazar were staying in Rogel. A female servant would go and inform them, and they would go and inform King David. It was not advisable for them to be seen going into the city, but a young man saw them on one occasion and informed Absalom. So the two of them quickly departed and went to the house of a man in Baharm. There was a well in his courtyard, and they got down in it. His wife then took the covering and spread it over the top of the well and scattered some grain over it. No one was aware what she had done. I spread some grain over the top of it so that way it looks like nobody's messed with it in a long time. A little less likely to go inspecting things. At least that's the hope anyway. Oh. When the servants of Absalom approached the woman at her home, they asked, where are Emez and Jonathan? No one replied to them. They crossed over the stream. Absalom's men searched but did not find them, so they returned to Jerusalem. After the men had left, Amazar and Jonathan climbed out of the well. Then they left and informed King David. They advised David, get up and cross the stream quickly, for Antha has devised a plan to catch you. So David and all the people who were with him got up and crossed the Jordan River. By dawn, there was not one person left who had not crossed the Jordan. When Anthal realized that his advice had not been followed, he saddled his donkey and returned to his house in his hometown. After setting his household in order, he managed himself. So he died and was buried in the grave of his father. Let's see, where are we at? Okay. Yep, there we go. Buried in grave of his father. There we go. Meanwhile, David had gone to Mahanaim, while Absalom and all the men of Israel had crossed the Jordan River. Absalom had made an Amasa general in command of the army in the place of Joab. Now Amasa was the son of an Israelite man named Jether, who had married Abigail, the daughter of Nahash and sister of Zerah, Joab's mother. The army of Israel and Absalom camped in the land of Gilead. When David came to Mahim, Shubi, the son of Nahash from Rabbah of the Ammonites, Makir, the son of Emiel from Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gilead from Rogel, brought the bedding, basins, and pottery utensils. They also brought food for David and all who were with him, including wheat, barley, flour, roasted grain, beans, lentils, honeys, curds, flocks, and cheese. For they said, the people are no doubt hungry, tired, and thirsty there in the desert. Well, that would make sense. All right. We'll do one more because this is the death of Absalom. So we'll do one more and then we will go over all of your guys' comments, questions, concerns in the chat. And then we will start to wrap it up. All right. 2 Samuel 18. David was some of the army that was with him. He appointed leaders of thousands and leaders of hundreds. David then sent out the army, a third under the leadership of Joab, a third under the leadership of Joab's brother, Absi, son of Zerar, and a third under the leadership of Ittai the Gittite. The king said to the troops, I too will indeed march out with you. But the soldiers replied, you should not do this, for if we should have to make a rapid retreat, they won't be too concerned about us. Even if half of us should die, they won't be too concerned about us. But you are like 10,000 of us. So it is better if you remain in the city for support. Then the king said to them, I will do whatever seems best to you. They're the soldiers. They're the smart ones, right? So the king stayed beside the city gate, while all the army marched out by the hundreds and by the thousands. The king gave this order to Joab, Abishai, and Ittai. For my sake, deal gently with the young man Absalom. Now the entire army was listening when the king gave all the leaders this order concerning Absalom. Then the army marched out to the field to fight against Israel. The battle took place in the forest of Ephraim. The army of Israel was defeated there by David's men. The slaughter there was great that day. 20,000 soldiers were killed. Hollywood, you're missing out. That'd be an epic battle. Epic battle. The battle there was spread out over the whole area, and the forest consumed more soldiers than the sword devoured that day. Oh, what was in the forest that was eating people? Hollywood, you're missing out. Angel Studios, let's do this. Angel Studios, let's do this. You can make this one a total horror mystery. This would be great. Then Absalom happened to come across David's men. I mean, you could literally have it like revealed in the end that it was like the angels. There was like angels, and like you just see like light flashes in the forest. And then at the end, you just see like angels with like blood dripping off their sword, like ascending into heaven. Like, come on, you're leaving millions of dollars on the table here. Then Absalom happened to come across David's men. Now, as Absalom was riding on his mule, it went under the branches of a large oak tree. His head got caught in the oak, and he was suspended in midair, while the mule had been riding, kept going. This is comedy gold. This is like, how many times have you seen this in a movie? This is where they get all these ideas from. I'm telling you, it's the reason why we study this thing. When one of the men saw this, he reported it to Joab, saying, I saw Absalom hanging in an oak tree. Joab replied to the man who was telling him this, what? You saw this? Why didn't you strike him down right on the spot? I would have given you 10 pieces of silver and a commemorative belt. The man replied to Joab. Oh, there's throat. Hold on. The man replied to Joab. Even if I were receiving 1,000 pieces of silver, I would not strike down the king's son. In our very presence, the king gave this order to you and Abashi and Ittai. Protect the young man Absalom for my sake. If I had acted at risk of my own life and nothing is hidden from the king, you would have abandoned me. Joab replied, I will not wait around like this for you. He took 3 spears in his hand and he thrust them in the middle of Absalom while he was still alive in the middle of the oak tree. Well, we know what happens. We know what's going to happen to this guy. Now, don't we? Then 10 soldiers who were Joab's armor bearers struck Absalom and finished him off. Then Joab blew the trumpet, and the army turned back from chasing Israel, for Joab had called for the army to halt. They took Absalom, threw him into a large pit in the forest, and stacked a huge pile of stones over him. In the meantime, all the Israelite soldiers fled to their homes. Prior to this, Absalom had set up a monument and dedicated it to himself in the king's valley, reasoning, I have no son who will carry on my name. He named the monument after himself, and to this day it is known as Absalom's Memorial. Then Amazar, son of Zadok, said, let me run and give the king the good news that the Lord has vindicated me before his enemies. But Joab said to him, you will not be a bearer of good news today. You will bear good news some other day, but not today, for the king's son is dead. Then Joab said to Cushite, go and tell the king what you have seen. After bowing to Joab, the Cushite ran off. Amiz, the son of Zadok, again spoke to Joab. Whatever happens, let me go after the Cushite. But Joab said, why is it that you want to go, my son? You have no good news that will bring you a reward. But he said, whatever happens, I want to go. So Joab said to him, then go. So Amaz ran by the way of the Jordan plain, and he passed the Cushite. Now David was sitting between the inner and outer gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate at the wall. When he looked, he saw a man running by himself. So the watchman called out and informed the king. The king said, if he is by himself, he brings good news. Then the runner came ever closer. Then the watchman saw another man running. The watchman called out to the gatekeeper, there is another man running by himself. The king said, this one is also bringing good news. The watchman said, it appears to me that the first runner is Amaz, son of Zadok. The king said, he is a good man, and he comes with good news. Then Amaz called out and said to the king, greetings. He bowed down before the king with his face towards the ground and said, may the Lord your God be praised, because he has defeated the men who opposed my lord the king. The king replied, how is the young man Absalom? Amaz replied, I saw a great deal of confusion when Joab was sending the king's servants and me, your servant, but I don't know what it was all about. The king said, turn aside and take your place here. So he turned aside and waited. Then the Cushite arrived and said, may my lord the king now receive the good news. The Lord has vindicated you today and delivered you from the hand of all who have rebelled against you. The king asked the Cushite, how is the young man Absalom? The Cushite replied, may the enemies of my lord the king and all who have plotted against you be like that young man. The king then became very upset. He went up to the upper room over the gate and wept. As he went, he said, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, if only I could have died in your place. Absalom, my son, my son. Still his kid at the end of the day. No matter how much of a rebellious little crackhead he was, Little crackhead he was. Let's go ahead and finish this one off. We'll finish this off real quick because the next one starts another rebellion. Joab was told, the king is weeping and mourning over Absalom. And so the victory of the day was turned to mourning as far as all the people were concerned. For the people heard on that day, the king is grieved over his son. That day, the people stole away to go to the city, the way the people who were embarrassed steal away in fleeing from battle. The king covered his face and cried out loudly, my son, Absalom, Absalom, my son, my son. So Joab visited the king at his home. He said, today you have embarrassed all your servants who have saved your life this day, as well as the lives of your sons, your daughters, your wives, and your concubines. You seem to love your enemies and hate your friends, for you have as much declared today as the leaders and servants don't matter to you. I realize now that if Absalom were alive and all of us were dead today, it would be all right with you. So get up now and go out and give some encouragement to your servants. For I swear by the Lord that if you don't go out there, not a single man will stay here with you tonight. This disaster will be worse for you than any disaster that has overtaken you from your youth right to the present. So the king got up and sat at the city gate. When all the people were informed that the king was sitting at the city gate, they all came before him. But the Israelite soldiers had all fled to their own homes. All the people throughout all the tribes of Israel were arguing among themselves, saying, the king delivered us from the hand of our enemies. He rescued us from the hand of the Philistines, but now he has fled from the land because of Absalom. But Absalom, whom we anointed as our king, has died in battle. So now, why do you hesitate to bring the king back? Then King David sent a message to Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, saying, tell the elders of Judah, why should you delay any further in bringing the king back to his palace when everything Israel is saying has come to the king's attention? You are my brothers, my very own flesh and blood. Why should you delay any further in bringing the king back? Say to Amas, are you not my flesh and blood? God will punish me severely if from this time on you are not the commander of my army in the place of Joab. He won over the hearts of all the men of Judah as though they were one man. Then they sent word to the king, saying, return, you and all your servants as well. So the king returned and came to the Jordan River. Now the people of Judah had come to Gilgal to meet the king and to help him cross the Jordan. Shimei, son of Gera, the Benjamite from Bahurim, came down quickly with the men of Judah to meet King David. There were 1,000 men from Benjamin with him, along with Ziba, the servant of Saul's household, and with him his 15 sons and 20 servants. They hurriedly crossed the Jordan within the sight of the king. They crossed at the ford in order to help the king's household cross and do whatever he thought were appropriate. Now, after he had crossed the Jordan, Shimei, son of Gera, threw himself down before the king. He said to the king, don't think badly of me, my lord, and don't recall the sin of your servant on the day when you, my lord the king, left Jerusalem. Please don't call it to mind, for I, your servant, know that I sinned, and I have come today as the first of all the house of Joseph to come down to meet my lord the king. Aphishi, son of Zerah, replied, For this should not Shimei be put to death. After all, he cursed the Lord's anointed. But David said, what do we have in common, you sons of Zerah? You are like my enemy today. Should anyone be put to death in Israel today? Don't you realize that today I am king over Israel? The king said to Shimei, you won't die. The king vowed an oath concerning this. Now Mephibosheth, Saul's grandson, came down to meet the king. From the day the king had left until the day he safely returned, Mephibosheth had not cared for his feet, nor trimmed his mustache, nor washed his clothes. When he came from Jerusalem to meet the king asked him, why didn't you go with me, Mephibosheth? He replied, my lord the king, my servant deceived me. I said, let me get my donkey saddled so that I can ride on it and go with the king, for I am lame. But my servant has slandered me to my lord the king. But my lord the king is like an angel of God. Do whatever seems appropriate to you. After all, there was no one in the entire house of my grandfather who did not deserve death from my lord the king. But instead you allowed me to eat at your own table. What further claim do I have to ask the king for anything? Then the king replied to him, why should you continue speaking like this? You and Ziba will inherit the field together. Mephibosheth said to the king, let him have the whole thing. My lord the king has returned safely to his house. Now Barzillai the Gilead had come down from Roglim. He crossed the Jordan with the king so he could send him on his way from there. But Barzillai was very old, 80 years old, in fact, and he had not taken care of the king when he stayed in Maham, for he was a very rich man. So the king said to Barzillai, cross over with me, and I will take care of you while you are with me in Jerusalem. Barzillai replied to the king, how many days do I have left in my life that I should go up with the king to Jerusalem? I am presently 80 years old. Am I able to discern good and bad? Can I taste what I eat and drink? Am I still able to hear the voices of male and female singers? Why should I continue to be a burden to my lord, the king? I will cross the Jordan with the king and go a short distance. Why should the king reward me in this way? Let me return so that I may die in my own city near the grave of my father and my mother. But look, here is your servant Kima. Let him cross over with my lord the king. Do for him whatever seems appropriate to you. The king replied, Kima will cross over with me, and I will do for him whatever I deem appropriate. And whatever you choose, I will do for you. All the people crossed the Jordan, as did the king, after the king had kissed him and blessed him. Razali returned to his home. When the king crossed over to Gilgal, Gimmer crossed over with him. Now all the soldiers of Judah, along with half of the soldiers of Israel, had helped the king cross over. Then all the men of Israel began coming to the king. They asked the king, why did our brothers, the men of Judah, sneak the king away and help the king and his household cross the Jordan? And not only him, but all of David's men as well. All of the men of Judah replied to the men of Israel, because the king is our close relative. Why are you so upset about this? Have we eaten at the king's expense, or have we misappropriated anything for our own use? And the men of Israel replied to the men of Judah, we have 10 shares in the king, and we have a greater claim on David than you do. Why do you want to curse us? Weren't we the first to suggest bringing back our king? But the comments of the men of Judah were more severe than those of the men of Israel. All righty. There we go. Boys and girls, there we go. Got through the entire rebellion from beginning to end. Here, let me stop sharing this. Cancel. That's not the button I wanted. Percent. And have that back up there. There we go. All right, let's go say hi to all of you out there in the chat. Saw that Beanology popped in as well. What's up, brother? Have you read something? Have you read for something before other than just doing the Bible study on Sundays and doing what I normally do for my videos? Nope, this would be it, Beano. Hope you're still out there, buddy. Hope you're still out there, Beano. Glad you made it in, man. Glad you made it in today. Glad you made it in. All right, let's see what all you guys have to say out here in the chat. Yeah, the next few chapters of this are bad. This really needs an advisory warning. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it gets better. Amon and Tamar are brother, sister, half brother, half sister, but still. Oh, yeah, we read about that one. Yeah, this is the part of the Bible predates George R.R. Martin by about, 3,000 years. Yeah, I think we know where George got some of his ideas from. I think we definitely know where George got some of his ideas from. I don't think there's any doubt about that at this point. Yeah. That's right. Amen. Glad to be here and chat with you. I'll be a bit slow, but I'm bouncing back and forth between here and Rumble. Thank you for that, Griffin. Yeah, there you go. Sweet home Jerusalem. That's right, JR24. John Abud. Hey, pretending it's fine. Do it. Why? It's not lying. It's telling my truth. Trademark. Yeah, I know. All the way back then. See, nothing new under the sun, boys and girls. Nothing new ever changes. Sounds like something what Zeus would do. Yeah, no shit, right? No shit. Yeah, good catch indeed. Notice he was a personal attendant, but he has to have Tamar come personally, cook while he watches, and ask to be hand-fed. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Yeah, notice he has a personal attendant. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Let's see. Invite my family to a big feast. And then when they are drunk, kill all of them gruesomely. Really? George R. Martin, can you come up with an original idea? No, apparently nobody can. I'm telling you, everything in Hollywood came from, everything in your modern storytelling and Western storytelling came from the Bible. I just don't think there's any other way to say that. This may be why he didn't complete the book series. Yes, very good one, JR. Yeah, here we go. All right, hey, here we go again with more people pretending to be something. Can't anyone just tell the truth? I know, right, Griffin? I know. Godspeed. So what are you talking about? The Bible is wholesome and family friendly. G-rated. G for God. And it's full of good family and moral values. Well, it is full of good family and moral values, but yeah, I love it. Godspeed. I love it. What are you talking about? The Bible is wholesome. Family, totally G-rated. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, there's seriously sections of this should be in C-17. There's no doubt about it. Yep, making promises he can't keep. Facts. And being duped into making promises. Plus, the people who lied and duped the one who makes the dishonest promise try to claim kind of moral superiority. Sigh gets old. Yep. So very true. Yep. No one was more handsome than Absalom from the sole of his feet. Geez, people foot fetish back then too. Gross.
Emotional damage.
Hey, can you come here? Yeah, no shit. Take two. Hey, can you come here? Sure, but I'll be there tomorrow. Burns down house. What the fuck? Why? You didn't come immediately. Yeah, right, right. Venus. What's up, Venus? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you, Venus. So much infighting. Yeah, I know, right? They just can't, like, can't we all just get along? Can't we all just get along? Yeah, notice Absalom essentially stood in the path to the king, judge, and told everyone, no, don't go to him. I am a better judge. Let me treat you nice. Kiss, kiss. Sound familiar? Yep. Yep. Yep, absolutely. There you go. Flatus ass fire. There's no worry. I'm in more alert mode today. Migraines suck. Well, that sucks, brother. That sucks. No fun at all. Coup d'etat. That's right. Coup d'etat. Drusus, Godseed. That's right. Good old Jerusalem, a fun place full of fireworks and excitement. Yeah, never a dull moment in Jerusalem, it doesn't seem like. You live more than a generation. There's never a dull moment. You're going to get something exciting. As you likely know, it means stroke of state, but subtext is strike to the head. What? Oh, migraines. Oh, the word migraine. Oh, a coup d'etat. Oh, okay, a coup d'etat. Stroke of state. The subtext is strike to the head. Gotcha. There's Tim Hayes saying hi to Venus. Yes, Venus. I wonder if the story will have David have Solomon be the next in line. I don't know. Howdy, howdy. Glad you made it, Venus. Glad you made it. So Shimi was a modern day, mostly peaceful protester, yelling all the day long, throwing stones, never satisfied. Sorry, couldn't resist. No, I don't blame you. I don't blame you, Griffin. Exactly right. That's exactly right. Yeah, he did it now indeed. JR24. Something to note, this is a debate about the setup on top. There's a debate about the tent setup on top of the palace. It is not a debate if it happened. It did. It's just a debate as to whether it was enclosed or just a canopy. Likely a canopy. Wow. You can't even do it behind a curtain. Wow. It was likely just a canopy up on top of the house. So everybody, they did say so everybody could see it. Wow. Yeah, see, exactly. Wholesome, right? God seeds, like, yeah, see, exactly. Wholesome. Unfortunately. Not as bad since we moved to Vegas, but still horrible. I'll talk about the migraines. Gotcha. Think about it. On top of the tallest building in the city and just a canopy to keep out the harsh sun, but in midday. Yep. That's pretty obvious what they were doing. Wow. Beanology. Good to see you, Bean. Says, what's up, brother? Have you read for something before? Like I said, just this. Like nothing professionally. Just always had a good reading comprehension skill. The Lord's blessed me with that one. Always been good with reading comprehension. So, but good to see you, Bean. Good to see you, Bean. We do these normally we do these at Sundays on 2 p.m. Just had a lot going on at church today and had some stuff we had to do after church. So it took us a little longer to get home. But normally we do these at 2 p.m. on Sundays. So, but glad you made it, Bean. Glad you made it, Beanie. Glad you made it. Yes, Absalom thought screwing my dad's lovers in public is a good thing. Trademark. The thing to know was God warned David, what you did to Bethesda in secret will be shouted in public. Oh, to Bathsheba in secret will be shouted in public. Whoa, good point. I'd forgotten about that. Oh, Griffin. Good point. Wow. There we go. Yes. Hail God's seed and beanology. That's right. Tim Hayes, always good about saying hi to everybody. If only David stayed righteous, he probably wouldn't have these problems. Weird how that works. We all fail, though. We all fail and fall. There we go. Oh, that's a question. Was all this judgment or punishment for David's sin, or is this just sadly the natural outcome? They saw David do whatever he wanted, so I can do that too. Well, and I think that has a lot to do with it, right? Like, I don't think it's that God necessarily is sitting there watching everything we do. And it's just like, all right, he's got the bless button and the punish button in front of him. Right. And if you do the right thing, you get the bless button. If you do the wrong thing, you get the punish button. What I think it is like, God just set up the universe to have rules, right? There's laws, and some people want to call it karma or whatever it is. I don't think it's karma. I think it's just the way the universe works. I think it's the way the Lord set the rules up. You do certain things and things go really well for you. You do other bad, stupid things and things are not going to go well for you. It has nothing to do with being a blessing or a curse. I don't think. I think God absolutely blesses those who do well and punishes those who do evil. But at the end of the day, it's also at the same time, it's like, sometimes dumb shit happens because you're stupid. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like Griffin says right here. It's like, everybody in the kingdom saw David doing whatever he wanted. He's supposed to be the example. He's supposed to be the one setting the lead. So of course they're going to do whatever they want too. Of course they're going to get out of hand and be ridiculous. You're supposed to be leading by example. We after when we'd had our little luncheon for the younger folks in the church, the younger couples and stuff in the church today, it was one of the things that one of our guys was talking about is, the way he acts and the way he does things. It's like, because he realized when he was younger, he had a lot of problem with hypocrites in the church. And I've talked about my own issues with hypocrites in the church and people that, they want to go to church every Sunday and act all high and mighty, but some of them are some of the worst hypocrites we've ever seen out there in the world. You know what I mean? And I think it's one of them situations where that's the problem is if you call yourself a Christian, if you claim to be, if you call yourself a Christian, then, your actions, the way you act and the things you do, are a direct representation on Christ, and ergo how other people view Christians. So it's like, if you're going to be a Christian and you're going to be somebody out there who's, presenting themselves as such. And trust me, I'm one of the worst of this. You guys have seen me at some of my worst. You guys have been hanging out on my streams for a while. You've seen me get like blackout drunk and be stupid on stream and stuff like that. And I'm trying to be better about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I'm trying to put some of that childish stuff aside and, try to be a better person, try to be a better husband, try to be a better father to my children. And it's one of those things. It's like, you have to be the person setting an example, make sure you set your own house in order before anything else. It's like we've talked about that whole scene with Jesus and the adulteress and the whole, he who is without sin cast the first stone. And there's a lot of speculation as to what Jesus was writing on the ground because it's not recorded. We don't know. And a lot of the speculation is, and Griffin's brought this up several times. This isn't something that I've brought up. This is something Griffin's brought up because, like I said, there's people in the chat that are far more knowledgeable about this book than I am. I'm just the mouthpiece that can read good. They can read good. But it was like the theory, one of the theories is that Jesus was writing out the names of the lovers of the people there that were accusing this chick of adultery. Right. And of course we wouldn't need to record those. There would be no point in writing those down because those names would mean nothing to any of us. Unless somebody explained it and actually came out and said that. You know what I mean? But that's the theory and it makes sense to me. You know what I mean? Take care, all these people that are out there trying to be all high and mighty. It's like, the Lord doesn't like hypocrites either. I flat out admit that I'm a sinner and I screw up all the damn time. I am a work in progress to the absolute nines. You know what I mean? And it's one of those things. It's like, that's where it comes down to that. It's like David was supposed to be setting an example. David was supposed to be the example to the rest of his people. And if the king's going out there acting a fool, then everybody else is going to go out there and act a fool. So yeah, lead by example. Ooh, think about it. 3 spears ran through him while he was suspended from his head, bleeding out and worse. Yeah, that's pretty freaking gnarly. It's a pretty gnarly way to go. Yeah, still sad that David's child is dead. It's always sad. That's the last thing David wants. The story of the prodigal son, right? You always want them to come home. I know, right? Now, Spaceship Member Circle. Now I just feel bad. I know. Nobody said these chapters were going to be easy to get through. We said that at the beginning. Parental advisory warning. All right, at the very beginning of this one. This was not gonna turn out well. Poor David, he brought this on himself, but he still cared for God and for his kids. When all was said and done, more than half of David's children were dead, killed by each other. God, isn't that sad? Yeah, no parent should have to bury their child. Absolutely. Yay! Average Patriot Nerd decided to stop for the day. Yay! Glad to hear that. Florida, Georgia is a rich land, but yet lots of pollen. Oh, that's so true. Ha! Godspeed. Yeah, there you go. I know some of what it is. You sound like Ryan Airy from Screen Crush. Really? I have no idea who that is. I've heard of Screen Crush before, but I don't know. I'm horrible with names to begin with, Beanology. You're lucky I remember yours, Beano. Well, hey, that works. Well, it probably also helps that I have this new silky mic from Quarter Black Garrett, too. That beautiful, beautiful man. The Lord really does bless me with some really amazing friends and supporters. The Lord has, I don't thank the Lord enough for that, for all of you out there that help support me and help take care of things and help take care of my family and help get me upgrades to my equipment and everything else. I mean, between Alec Baldwin's finger and Quarter Black Garrett and Jim Bone and everybody else out there that's helped out with things. It's just like you guys have been amazing. You guys have been so amazing. Because what was it? Yeah. Alec Baldwin's finger was one of the first people to buy me an upgrade for my old PC so I could play Armored Core 6. I think he also got me the game too. And it's like that's what this wall back here is like all of you guys. I mean, if I could fit the Meta PCs box on this wall, I would. But the Lord's really blessed me with a lot of really amazing people around me that have helped support me and help upgrade my stuff and make things better and make it sound silky smooth. At least it doesn't sound like I'm popping. I can't. That doesn't mean my voice is going to get any less annoying, but at least it sounds better that way. Yeah, rest in peace, Bernard Hill, King Theoden. That's right, Hail King Theoden. All right, there we go. That's fine. No worries, your average Patriot nerd. It's Truda. That's right. It is Godseed. Well, arguably, there's no better book to steal story ideas from. That is true. I mean, if you're going to steal from anything, the Bible's the place to jack them from. There you go. I can't see either of you here on Rumble or YouTube. Glad you two are here. That's right. Yeah, we're multi-streaming, so I try to make sure we highlight as many in the chat, so that way if you're communicating between two streams, you absolutely can. So we do prefer to everybody to be either over on the Rumble or the Common Nerds channel, though, depending on what stream you're on. So if you guys are on the Common Nerds gaming channel, please make sure you check out the links and go jump over on the Common Nerds channel or the Rumble channel if Rumble works well for you. I know it doesn't work well for everybody. So, about David bringing this on himself. I believe Nathan the prophet said as much with the whole Bathsheba. Yeah, with the whole Bathsheba event. Can't remember the reference though. Yep. Yeah, that's exactly where it came from. Yep, the whole Bathsheba thing. Animation Overload says, I got to head out. Love you all. Catch you later. All right, we love you too, Animation Overload. Be good, brother. We'll see you later. Glad you made it. Glad you made it in for a little while. Oh, I know all about trying not to suck. Yeah, I believe that Spaceship Vampire. I see what you did there because he's a vampire. Did it work? It worked. There you go. So, yeah, absolutely. All right. Trying not to suck. Well, doing a far better job than Bob Iger Company right now. I know. But he's Spaceship Vampire. He's supposed to suck. A bit of reassuring thought. Old Bobby's going to be, Bobby's got sucking down to a science. Boy, ain't that the damn truth. All right. There we go. Bob Iger sucks. Yep. Say it again. This is one of the highlights of my week. I get to hang out with you guys and I get to enjoy Jesse getting filled with the Holy Spirit. Well, thank you, Griffin. I appreciate that, brother. I just go where the Spirit moves me, or at least I try to anyway. Bob only gets his frames. There you go. Well, thank you, JR24. You're a blessing. You guys are all a blessing to us. All right, there we go. All right, Flatty Satisfier. Everything okay, baby? I'm fixing to wrap up right now. Okay. All right, boys and girls. Well, I think that will be it for today. We got through 2 Samuel 20. We got all the way up to 2 Samuel 20. So we started and ended with one rebellion and what caused it to happen. And so next week we will follow up with another rebellion as well. So that should be a good time. So I appreciate all of you guys so very much for being here. Beanology, good to see you, buddy. Don't be a stranger. Boys and girls, we'll be live tonight at 6:30 p.m. to review some more of When Who Was Good. We've got our Doctor Who review stream with Sunker and Mr. Grant Gregory. And who knows, you never know, maybe it'll even be a Mrs. Common Nerd sighting. These things do happen on occasion. I might be okay. So we might be a little late to the Doctor Who stream tonight. So the wife has something for us. So, but all right, boys and girls, we're going to wrap it up. So I appreciate all of you being here. Spaceship Vampire, Griffin, JR24, your average Patriot nerd, Beanology, Godseed. Good to see you over there as well. And make sure I didn't miss anybody. Spaceship Vampire, of course, as well. Everybody out there lurking and listening, your average Patriot nerd, Flattius Assfire. Hope you guys all feel better. Chrysanth, Venus, if you guys are out there lurking and listening, I appreciate all of you guys so very much. So I will see you guys later this evening at some point for some Doctor Who, but apparently we've got some cool stuff going on. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jesse with the Common Nerd. I bring you pop culture and all things nerdy through a common sense lens. And on Sundays, we do Bible verses. Enjoy the credits. I'll see you guys tonight. God bless, and we'll see you guys later. Enjoy.